Howdy, y'all. It's Greg C. from Tennessee again. I have something different for you today. It's an Amazon haul to share with y'all. This haul is a little specialized, and it's mostly for people who are makers and electronic experimenters. I've been interested in building electronic devices for some time, and lately I've been working on a combination crossing flasher and detection circuit for the train layout at the Tennessee Central Railway Museum, where I'm a member. Here's a small circuit board that has a flashing circuit on it and an experimenter's board that has the detector circuit on it. As you can see, when I cover the photocell, the circuit's activated. Oop, there we go. And it's just to give you an idea of what can be done with some of the items I'm going to share with you. Before we get started, I need to give a disclaimer as usual. Amazon does not pay me for these demos. I am not an influencer, so nothing is sent to me for free. I pay for everything and I give you my honest opinions. If I find out something doesn't work as advertised, I will always let you know. With that said, let's get started. All right, so the first thing I'm going to share with you is from a company called Bojack. This is a 50-piece photocell variety. Well, it's actually not a variety, it's all just one. Uh, so it's a whole bunch of photocells. So on the circuit I just showed, the photocell is what triggers the detection circuit. Uh, as you can see, it's a pretty substantial package. And there's one of the photocells here, and they're pretty much all the same. I did already run some tests on some of these, so the resistance on some is a little higher than others. So I would suggest if you're going to use these, um, go through a bunch of them depending on how many you need for a specific project. This project I'm working on requires 4. So you want to keep them as close in resistance as possible to make the circuit a little easier to troubleshoot and to just so it works better. So here you go. There's price on these. It's the Bojack 50-piece photo cells. These are GL 5539 uh, light detecting resistors. So actually it says GM 5539 or GL 5539. There you go. That's first thing. Second thing I have was because I've been using Arduinos and experimenting with those. I actually got a specific pack just for working with Arduinos. So essentially, we have the same thing. It's the photocells, photoresistors. Uh, these are a little bit smaller, and the resistance is lower on these. And they also come with an additional resistor to make the detection work a little better because it gives a better range for, especially with the Arduino, so that it actually can uh, detect the difference between whether they're in the light or in the dark. In the dark, their resistance drops, which allows the uh, current to flow. And when there's light, the resistance raises, so it stops the current flow. This is a 10 pack. These are, let's see, do it yourself LDR photo cells for Raspberry Pi or Arduino. Uh, good little price on these. A little more expensive than the other ones, but these do come with the resistors and they are kind of specialized, so they are for use with the Arduinos and things of that nature. Along that lines, we've got a 400 piece LED collection here. These again, Bojack. There's a whole bunch of different colors: red, orange, yellow, green, blue. There's a white. What else is on there? Warm white, a bright white. There's a green, a purple, and a pink. So a good variety. They all, the thing that's going to drive you nuts though is they're all the same color. So until you put the light to them, or you actually put them in a circuit, they're all going to be white. They do work really well. I've used these. I've tested a couple of these out, and they're pretty nice. So that's the Bojack 400 piece LED kit. 10 values of 10 values, 400 pieces, so it's 40 pieces of each. Moving right along, another large Bojack accessory box here. So this is going to be diodes. Those of you who've been working with electronics for a while know that a diode basically stops current flow from going in one direction and leaves it open in the other, sort of like a faucet, a one-way faucet. So depending on what you're using it for, you might not want current to flow backwards through your circuit. Diodes help prevent that from happening. So this is a nice variety pack. You got a whole bunch of different resistors in here, or diodes in here. 1N4001s, 2s, 3s, 4s, 5s. But so you've got a good variety here. This will work for, help you out with pretty much any electronics projects you're working on. Again, Bojack. This one, each packet it's like a Ziploc bag. So you've got a whole bunch of different Ziploc bags in here with your different diodes. Pretty good value. I've used a couple of these diodes already, and they work like they're supposed to. Moving on, we're going to go to a box of resistors. So this is a Bojack 1000 pack of resistors. It's nice that they have your guide on here for your colors and your tolerances and all that good stuff. It's also on the back here. It gives all the different resistances of what comes in the package. So you got 40 pieces of 1 ohm all the way up to a mega ohm, and pretty much everything in between. There's a couple of different values that aren't included, but for the most part, this is any value you could possibly want or need. They come in nice little pack. They're stapled together, and say 2, 4, 6, so there's 7 in a stapled pack, and there's just bunches and bunches of resistors, so you can work on your projects to your heart's content, and you're always going to have plenty of resistors, or you're always going to have plenty of resistance, either way you look at it. So there you go. Bojack 1000 piece, 25 values, 1000 pieces, carbon film resistors, quarter watt, 5% tolerance. Speaking of resistors, now we've got 120 pieces of 15 values of variable resistors. Don't know if you noticed it on the experimenter's board, but I did have one of these on there. So these are some of your different values. It's from 100 ohm to 300k ohm. Oh, actually, no, it goes up to 2 mega ohm. So a bunch of different values there. These are going to be, PC board mounted, or your perf board or breadboard, whatever. Experimenter's board, pretty much anything. These are better to be soldered in because they do get a little. I notice on the breadboards they're a little loose. They don't sit very tight, so that might screw up your adjustment just a bit. But yeah, it's pretty good value. There you go. And that way you have potentiometers for pretty much anything you want to adjust. Let's see what else we have here. This one's going to be capacitors. So this is electrolytic capacitors. 630 pieces of electrolytic capacitors. These go everywhere from, looks like 0.1 microfarad up to 1K microfarad. A lot of values in between, 50 volt, 16 volt, 10 volt. So there's a couple of different values. For instance, a 22 microfarad come in 16 and 25 volt. So depending on the project you're working on, you have that option. 47 microfarad come in 10 and 25 volt and 50 volt. Oh, so you get three different. So that's a lot of capacitance right there. So you will definitely have any size capacitor. Electrolytic. Now, keep in mind these are electrolytic, so they are polarized. And there's some projects that you'll need electrolytic for, and some that you will need ceramics. Speaking of ceramics, that's where we move on to our next one. Ceramics. So these are the ceramic capacitors. And these come in a bunch of different sizes. These come from, go from picofarads. So we got our collection of picofarad capacitors. Then we have our nanofarads. And then, of course, we got microfarads. So it also gives you a conversion down here of, how many picofarads, how many nanofarads equal to 10 microfarads. So you've got a variety. This will definitely work to your advantage if you're doing a lot of electronics work. Big variety. There's about 10 per. So that will definitely fit your needs for capacitance. So with the electrolytics and the ceramics, you should have all your capacitor needs covered. All right, let's see what else we need. If you're building stuff, you want to have some hookup wire. So I've got a variety pack of hookup wire. It's black, blue, brown, red, yellow, white, and green. It's got cute little holes up in the top of the box here, so you just feed the wires right through there, and you have organization as well as all your different wires. As with pretty much everything else here, this is made in China. Unfortunately, that's where we're at nowadays. Pretty much everything is made in China. So whether you're buying it from Amazon or, Temu or wherever, most of this stuff's made in China. That's just the reality. So next one, these are the Bojack. These are transistors. So these are small NPN or PNP transistors. There's 25 of each of the different variety we have here, and yes, made in China. Oh, actually, wait, that's it. Yep, made in China. Yep, it does say made in China. Sorry. 10 values, 250 pieces. This should handle all your transistor needs. Nice little card comes in here. It tells you what specific transistors you're working with. It's nice with the assortment. It's got the dividers in the case so that it keeps everything pretty much organized. You're not trying to figure out, digging through and trying to figure out which transistor you're looking for. Oh, another Bojack special there. I was amazed at how much of this stuff is actually available on Amazon. All right, so we're going to move on to some more transistors, or nope, take that, resistors. We're going to go to resistors. These are closer to the tighter tolerance resistors, 100K to 1 meg. So these are, you can see there's a variety in here. These are 1%, so these are closer, tighter tolerance resistors. So there's not going to be as much of a percentage how do we put this? The resistance of tolerances are much tighter with these, so that if you put in a 1 mega ohm resistor, it's going to be really close. It's going to be within 1% of 1 mega ohm. as opposed to the standard, the other resistors, which these are 5%. So you could have a 5% plus or minus variance between, what your resistance is on the resistor and what it actually is. So these are for more precision applications. So if you've got a project that needs higher quality, better tighter tolerances, and you're going to want the 1%. These are rated at 1 watt, and there's let's see, what do we got in here? This is a 105 pieces, 21 values. These are 1 watt, 1% metal film resistors, and your resistances, you can read it for yourself. I'm not going to go through all of these, and of course, made in China. So here you go. These are the 1% resistors, and not from Bojack, but they're I'll have to buy some bags to put those in. All right, so moving right along. Another thing we have here. All right, this is going to be Zener diodes. I know I showed you some other diodes before. Those are just standard run-of-the-mill diodes. These are going to be the Zener diodes. So this is nice. This comes in a variety. So you've got a bunch of different types of diodes. So you got your Schottky, your fast recovery, your switching diodes, your Zener diodes, rectifiers. So this is going to be a nice variety of different diodes. Again, it's got the 4001s on there, 4004s. But the reason I got this kit was because of some of these other ones, like the Schottkys and the fast recovery diodes. Make the switching on some of the projects a little better. So like these switching diodes up here, these are a little better than some of the others. So it depends on what the project requires. Sometimes it'll be just a standard diode. Sometimes you'll need Zener diodes or Schottkys or things of that nature. So that's a cute little package. Excuse me. 250 pieces of different diodes. Cool. Okay, so moving right along, I've got some integrated circuits coming. And if you've done a lot of work on integrated circuits, you know that especially if you're going to put them on a permanent, instead of just a breadboard, if you're going to put them in a experimenter's board and you're going to solder them in, one of the best things you can do is put them in a socket. The socket's going to protect them from the heat. So I picked up a kit of sockets. So these are various size sockets for integrated circuits. One of the most common ones, these are great for the 555 timers. These are a little 8-pin dip package, dual inline package dip. So these are going to be 16-pin. So these will be for different kinds of ICs, obviously. You got 16-pin. Oh, actually, I'm sorry, this is 14-pin. 14-pin, 16-pin, 18, 24, 28, and then we got the big honking 40 pins. So this would be like your memory chips and things of that nature. It's like I said, it's good to use these. They are marked, so your number 1 pin is going to be up in this area. Not all of them have straight pins, but you can straighten them out pretty easily. You gotta kind of be careful. You don't want to over torque them, but straightening them out isn't a big deal. They get damaged or bent in shipping, and sometimes you got to straighten them out. But better the socket than the IC. The ICs tend to be a little more expensive. Sockets are pretty cheap, as you can see right over here. this was a good variety pack that is going to allow me to protect my projects, my integrated circuits as I place them into boards. 150 pieces, and as usual, made in China. Next thing we're going to cover is these are little hookup. These actually go into a perf board or a experimenter's board, and this is for hooking up external wiring. For instance, I have my project here where everything's just kind of plugged into the perf into the boards. Instead of just plugging them into the boards, there's a good example. I've actually got everything soldered here. So instead of doing that, we would use these sockets. Instead of just soldering my two pins, my two wires for the power, I could actually solder this in. And it's got two little screws up in the top right up here. All right, so it's got two little screws which tighten down little clamps basically in here. So you put the wire in there, screw that down, it tightens up on there. You can solder these into your experimenter's boards or your breadboards, perf boards, whatever, and just makes it easier for hooking the wires up instead of this mess. It's a whole lot easier to screw them in and solder these in and actually just hook the wires into there. That way, if you have to disconnect the wires for whatever reason, you don't have to get your soldering gun out. So, cute little variety pack. So you've got 2, 3, 4 for 25 or 26 to 18 gauge wire. So, moving on. All right, so next thing I got now, these are experimenter boards. Experimenter boards are or actually these are called prototype board. So in order to cut costs and not having to make a custom printed circuit board for a prototype, we have prototype boards. So these there's 6 of them here. Or actually, there's 3. There's only 3 of these. I see. Oh, that it's a. These are actually electronically connected, so you can see back in here. This goes to here, and then this goes to here and goes to there. You've got bridge connections through here, so you can hook up a bunch of different things. You can put your IC across here and then hook up things that are supposed to connect to whatever posts on your IC. So I've got this one here, so it's a square, and you can essentially put 2 projects on here that have to connect to each other. I also have these larger ones. I'm going to be using this. I found a project that I want to work on that uses a much larger board. There's 3 of each, so there's 3 of the longer ones and 3 of the square ones. Not a terrible price. Convenient. Most of this stuff, surprisingly, 1 or at the most 2-day delivery, which is really convenient, especially if you're working on a project and you realize you don't have something and you need something, and you're able to order that without hesitation and get it within the day, which is pretty darn good. That's pretty much everything I have in this haul. Everything you would possibly need for any kind of electronics project, something working with Arduinos, working with Raspberry Pis, or a combination of both, because there are projects that use both. If you're using, like I've been doing with the 555 timers, which has been around since the 70s, and it's a great little chip, and it doesn't look like that's going anywhere anytime soon. If you're just getting started in electronics, there's a lot of good books. Look for stuff by, if you want to experiment with 555 timers. There's a author named Forrest Mims. He's got a lot of good books on working with 555 timers. Amazon, of course, has tons of books on 555 timers. They've got books on Arduinos, Raspberry Pis, all sorts of fun stuff for the budding electronic enthusiast. And as I've shown, there's just tons of stuff that's available from Amazon, anything you could possibly need. You don't have to go to some of the old sources. I know there was a company called DigiKey, which they're still out there, but their prices are a little higher and they don't do overnight shipping. So this is great. This has been fun. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope if you got any questions, feel free in the comments. I love getting stuff in the comments. I answer most of them. Once in a while, obviously, somebody will say something that I'm not going to answer. But for the most part, I'll answer anything. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe as usual. I know this has been a little longer video, and I appreciate anybody who's stuck around to the very end. I've got some more stuff coming up soon. I will see you soon. Take care.